if we can give these out, appreciate it. Thank you. I should use the mic? Oh, we're recording it? Oh my gosh, this was meant to be informal. All right, we'll try to do this informally. Hey, also, if we can give this out. And if we can give, let me just take one back. Thanks. And yeah, and if we can. Do you want some more copies? You good so far? Yeah, I think we're good. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. So for those who haven't seen me in a long time or haven't seen you, I have a different look because I've just had cataract surgery, so I don't need glasses for distance, but reading, forget it. Unless I put on these things, I can't read anything. So I'm still trying to figure out how to publicly speak and use these and stuff. So we'll figure it out. What? So today, start off in Yerushalayim, learning early, davening Yerushalayim, and actually gave this talk to Deanie Coopersmith's more advanced mission in the morning, and then eventually made it over to the Hakamas Matseva, and so it's a lot of different emotions going on that I'm feeling. But to be here with you and old friends and people who knew Faigy well and family is very, is very comforting. And what I want to do with you is not just give over divrei hesped about Faigy, but also in a way to reconnect with truths that we know. In other words, positive musar, so to speak, where things that we know, but they slide, to really reintroduce ourselves to them, because this is what Faigy embodied. And I gave this over on Rosh Hashanah in the shul as an alternative class, so the outline is written for beginners, but I didn't have a chance to rewrite them. But I want to speak to you about 10 areas that she truly embodied. And this picture, it's kind of gone around the world, but this picture was taken on one of her women's missions. There was before Menachem got sick for many years, she was doing a more advanced women's mission, and one of the women took this picture. And I don't know why Faigy didn't like it, but I loved it because it embodied who she was. I had this blown up, and it's been on my desk for years. And in thinking about this picture, it conveys three things to me about her. One was the fact that she loved the meaningful life that she was living. What we call in Hebrew simchas hachayim, that she had true simchas hachayim. She rejoiced in the life that she was living, in the meaningful life that she was living. She rejoiced in her relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. She rejoiced in being a wife and being a mother, and especially being a grandmother. She rejoiced in the klal work that we did and the kiruv rechokim that we did, and she rejoiced in the quality of people that she had the ability to get close with over the over the years. I mean, it was very strange. At the Shiva, I kind of at times had to stop myself because I felt a little bit like a politician. The place was packed back in Toronto. And every person that came in, I would say, "Oy, how she loved you." And, you keep repeating it, you stop yourself. But I wasn't just saying it. Her reservoir of love that she had for people and the simcha that she had in these relationships. And I think this is one of the first divrei musar for us, is are we living and with a simchas hachayim? Are we really being misameach in the meaningful lives that we are living? Rav Elia Lapian points out the following in Vayetze. So Yaakov finally wants to get paid justly from Lavan, and he has to go through this whole miracle, but he becomes a very rich man. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu comes to him. Okay, get the glasses, get it back on here. And says to him, Shuv el eretz avosecha l'moladetecha v'yeimach. It's a command, Shuv, return to Eretz Yisrael. So what happens is Yaakov sends and calls for Rachel and Leah, and he starts giving a whole explanation. Your father's face isn't the same as it was because I've become rich, and you know how he tricked me over and over and over again. And then finally says that the Malach came and said, look what I've done for you, and at the end, V'shuv el eretz moladetecha, go back. So Rav Elia Lapian asks, what is going on here? He should tell his wives, HaKadosh Baruch Hu has commanded us to go back. What's with this whole preface, this whole explanation before? Says Rav Elia Lapian, and I love the language. He says, Torah was never meant to be like this sacrifice that I do, this carbon, this obligatory sacrifice that I give in order that I can enjoy the next world. That was never what it was meant to be. Torah is meant to be a life of tremendous simcha, of tremendous satisfaction here in this world. So what Yaakov is doing is not that he's justifying HaKadosh Baruch Hu's command. He's saying to his wives, look at his love for us. Look at the reasons why he commanded us to go back. So that when his wives do go through the tircha, go through the bother of going back, they'll do it with simcha. And that's how she lived. She saw the meaning, she saw the tam hadavar, if you will. She saw the meaning in each of the areas of her life. And I think that's lesson number one that this picture conveys. Look what a person who loves the meaningfulness of her life and embraces it, look what a person looks like. I've been doing a lot of traveling. I've started resuming, but before Faigy got sick, I was in like 23, 24 cities over a 2.5-year period. And one of the cities was Baltimore for Rabbi Tendler's community. And they put me in a very nice basement. And there was lots of exercise equipment in there with no clothing on the equipment, which meant that it was being used. It was being used. So, and there was a sign there. The sign said, I never said it would be easy. I said it would be worth it. And that's really the prerequisite of regaining that simchas hachayim, is embracing the hard work that comes from the meaningful life, the hard work that comes from family, the hard work that comes from growth, whatever our situation in life is. I mean, Pesach time, the Pesach kitchen in the Briar Hill house was in the basement. So I used to call it the dungeon, So basically I knew for about 4 weeks, starting right after Purim, I won't see my wife, right? She would come up at 3 a.m. every night. I mean, the work that she put into a Yom Tif. And she'd be down there, she'd be listening to shiurim or schmoozing, and then our daughters would come over, they'd be cooking together. And the thought that she would put in about this son-in-law likes this, and this daughter-in-law can't eat that, and then, of course, there's the guests. And she embraced the incredible hard work that a Pesach took to really make it the way she wanted it to be made. And she would say, okay, as we got through the Seder, he said, okay, I've done mine, now you do yours, But she would have confidence that at Metz Hashem, I'll run it in a way that'll work for the grandchildren. Notice, she saw the meaningfulness of that. She's going to have the ability to impact on her grandchildren and the ability to reconnect with her children and the guests that are coming through. She saw the opportunity. It's just an example of an opportunity that she saw. And because she saw the opportunity, she embraced the hard work. And that's the first thing to share, is that to be thirsty for and love the life of Torah that's available to us, the life of growth that is available to us, and to embrace it and to go after it. The second thing about this picture, to me, is her contentment. This woman is content with her life. And I believe this contentment came from something I've been talking about a lot regarding Faigy, is the lesson in Hakaras Hatov that she embodied. Her Hakaras Hatov was just extraordinary, just extraordinary. And for those of you that have listened to other talks that I gave, I want to just repeat something and then add, especially because everyone's learning the daf these days, add from the Gemara Brachas. But my oldest daughter-in-law, Nava, asked her the following. But before mentioning that, one of the things that shocked people back in Toronto was that no one knew that she had lost her mother at 8 and lost her father at 18. 18? At 18. Like, no one in Toronto basically knew that because it's not something she spoke about. She was a private person. Why, and if anything, it cheapens it to speak about it. So she never mentioned it. So people in Toronto were shocked over the shiva, over and over. I didn't know. And she had a difficult first stage of life. And so my daughter-in-law, Nava, asked her, how were you able to become so joyful, so besimcha, and so positive? She was the picture of positivity. So she told Nava the following two things. Number one, that when she was 9, that's 1964, so most of you won't remember what space was like. Going up into space meant, I mean, it was unbelievable. How can these guys go up there and survive? So she told my daughter-in-law that she was very sad that year. She's 9 years old. And her science teacher is explaining what's happening up there in space, of how these astronauts are able to survive. And one of the things that the teacher said was that a major factor for these astronauts, for them to make it through, is mind over matter. There's a discipline of the mind and what they need to focus on that helps them stay positive, etc. So listen to this. At 9 years old, she said to herself, wait a second, that means that I can learn how not to be sad. I can learn how to be happy. It's mind over matter. At 9 years old, she had discovered what Chazal were saying. Ezo asher hasameach b'chelko. That which is the wealthy person, hasameach, the one who makes the effort to be happy with what they have. Now, I'm not telling anyone here what they don't know, but let's be honest with ourselves. we use that as a motivational poster, right? Do you believe in Asa? Sure. Do we focus on the good as opposed to focusing on the negative? And that's what she did. She focused on the love of her brothers. She focused on the love of her sisters-in-law. She focused on her friends. She focused on all the good that was going on in her life. And she literally trained herself. It became part of who she was, that automatically she sees the positive. We all believe in Ezo Ashra Sameach B'Chelko, but it's like a motivational poster. We don't put in the tremendous effort. But if we want to be motivated, listen to what happens in the last 10 months of her life. Number one, she told me over and over again, with very little chance to survive, that I would not trade my life with anybody. She told me that if anyone would have told her that the type of marriage she was going to have, the children she's going to have, the grandchildren she's going to have, the type of meaningful life that she had, if anyone would have told her in her teenage years, this is the life you're going to have, she would have felt it'll never happen. It won't happen. And she told me over and over again, I wouldn't trade places with anyone. And the last couple of weeks we were down in the Bronx because in Toronto they tried everything, but there was nothing more they can do. We went down to the Bruckner Eye Institute in the Bronx, and those last couple of weeks she was very thankful over the fact that the pain wasn't as bad as she anticipated, but it was hard sleeping. She would tell me that at 3, 4 a.m. when she was up, that was her Hakaras Hatov time. And most of you knew Faigys. She was not a Pollyanna. She was not this holy tzaddikus, at least from her perspective. She would laugh at us. What a tzaddikus? What are you talking about? You know how unassuming she was. And she, but this is what she did. She mentally went through her gifts in detail. And she would tell me that the Hakaras Hatov is so rich, is so vivid, is so deeply felt, that it's extraordinary. And the last words that she ever said was, it is an amazing world. It is an amazing world. That if you want to see what Hakaras Hatov does, to the point where you can anything that comes at us in life, we are able to tackle if we have true Hakaras Hatov. And I want to add the following, in honor of the daf, of the Masechta Brachos, just to understand what we're talking about with Hakaras Hatov. So who introduces Hakaras Hatov into the world? Come on, Daf Zayin, Daf Yomi people. Who introduces Hakaras Hatov? Who is the first person to have true gratitude? Leah, right? So if you take a look at Rashi there, Rashi defines for us what Hakaras Hatov means. Shenotalti yoser michelki. That I took more than my portion. In other words, Hakaras Hatov is that I recognize I have no rights to this and I had no right to expect it. That's what Hakaras Hatov is. Shenotalti yoser michelki. And Chazal expand this idea to everything. And now when you hear the word moda, it takes on a whole different connotation. Moda ani lefanecha melech chai v'kayam shechazarta bi nishmasi b'chemla rabba menusecha means that I have no right to expect to be given life today. Shenatalti yoser mechelki. It's not a right. It's not something I have a right to expect. But moda ani, thank you for giving me this unexpected gift. In the modem anachdulach, al chayinu amsurim yadecha, v'al nishmo seir apakudos lach, v'al nisechish b'chol yom imanu, for all the hidden miracles you give us. That the Chazal expanded that if we get into our being, we have no rights to anything. It's all extraordinary gifts from the Almighty. Then that's what Hakaras Hatov is. But it's more than that, my friends. Because later on, I forget the daf, There's a Yud Zayin. There's a machlokis. What are the words you say by the bracha right before the Shema? Is it, come on, Avas Olam, or is it Avarabba? Right? Do I say Avas Olam with an eternal love you loved us, or do I say Avarabba with an abundant love? So, for the Svardim in the crowd, you know that the Beis Yosef Paskins, we say Avas Olam all the time. But the Ramah, for the Ashkenazim, say that we say Avarabba. So, the Mishabura qualifies this and says, Ashkenazim, we say Avas Olam at night, but we say Avarabba by day. Why? Take a look at the Mishabura. Because of Chadoshim Lapkarim Rabba Emunasecha. The Avarabba, the abundant love I feel, is because, again, we're reviewing the Modani. You gave me life again today. You gave me life again today. So this is fantastic. In other words, that the Hakaras HaTov is I perceive and feel the Almighty's abundant love for having given me something that I don't have a right to. That's Hakaras HaTov. Hakaras HaTov is a manifestation of my feeling the Almighty's love, my loving Him back to the point where I must express publicly how amazing the Almighty is. Right? When you really love someone, you got to tell other people about the person. It's like a need. So, my friends, it goes further. You're not going to feel love for someone that is loving today but might lash out tomorrow. I mean, that's the classic case of abuse, right? So loving today and then nebuch, terrible the next day. The only way you can feel Hakaras HaTov is if you know that the love is always there. So if you think about it, Hakaras HaTov, gratitude, when it comes to the Almighty, is an act of Gilui Yichudo, is an act of my saying and bearing witness that the Almighty is one. That He's only capable of good, that He's only capable of love. And that's the Jewish people's job on this earth, is to bring the world of V'haya Hashem l'melech ha'kol ha'aretz b'yomahu yeh Hashem echad u'shmo echad. So what do we say at the end of Avarabba? V'keraftanu malkeinu l'shimcha agadol sela be'emes l'hodos l'cha u'liachetcha. Isn't that something? The act of thanks is an act of saying the Almighty is one. It's the stuff of life. It's the stuff of life. So I've got to read my niece was the impetus of our putting out a Shloshim book regarding Faigy. Here are the glasses. Adina is Nehemiah's wife. That Nehemiah's, I think most people here know Nehemiah. Number 4, married Adina. And their 4th son is named Chaim. So Adina's sister told Tzivi, most of you know Tzivi, right? Our youngest, by the Shiva, that her last memory of Aunt Faigy was her holding Chaim at his bris. And when she offered